Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we are going to be going over Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 85. Lord Krishna instructs Vasudeva and retrieves Devaki's sons. And the verses are 16 through 18. Yadrikshaya nritam prapya sukalpam iha durlabham svarte pramatashyavayo gatam tvan maya eshvara. Yadrikshaya, somehow or other, nritam, human status, prapya, obtaining, sukalpam, fit, iha, in this life, durlabham, difficult to achieve, sva, his own, arte, about the welfare, pramatasya, of one who is confused, vayaha, the span of life, gatam, spent, tvat, your, mayaya, by the illusory energy, Ishvara, O Lord. Translation: by good fortune, a soul may obtain a healthy human life, an opportunity rarely achieved. But if he is nonetheless deluded about what is best for him, O Lord, your illusory your illusory Maya will cause him to waste his entire life. Next verse. You keep this whole world bound up by the ropes of affection, and thus, when people consider their material bodies, they think, this is me. And when they consider their progeny and other relations, they think, these are mine. You are not our sons, but the very lords of both material nature and its creator, Mahavishnu. As you yourself have told us, you descended to rid the earth of the rulers who are a heavy burden upon her. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, in this verse, Vasudeva offers himself and his wife as excellent examples of those who are materially deluded. Although at the time of his birth in Kamsa's prison, Lord Krishna told Vasudeva and Devaki that his mission was to rid the earth of unwanted kshatriyas. Still, his two parents could not avoid thinking of him and their helpless sons who needed protection from King Kamsa. In reality, of course, both Vasudeva and Devaki were participating in the divine pastime of the Lord's birth under the perfect direction of his internal energy. Only out of transcendental humility does Vasudeva criticize himself in this way. Om Vishnu Varaya Krishna Prasthaya Budale Shrimate Radhanath Swami Dhamma Namo Vishnu Varaya Krishna Bhaktivedanta Swami. So in this chapter, this is actually Vasudeva speaking to Krishna. It's time for Krishna and Balaram. They are grown up. It's time for them to officially leave the ashram of Vasudeva. And he is wishing that they would remove this illusion, quote unquote, illusion, that he believes that they are his children. And he wants to be able to see them as the Supreme Lords. So the concept of uh, there's a lot of philosophy here to discuss in this regard because in the Lord's pastimes, we have something called Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya is a different kind of illusion. It is not the Mahamaya illusion. The Mahamaya illusion is what the jivas are under in this material world. Um, as it states in the Bhagavad Gita, the living entities are on this machine uh, of material energy, right? It's like a ride in a sense. They're going on this machine made of material energy, right? Um, and directed by the three modes of material nature. And ahankar, which is the false ego, is like the root of it all, the false conception of self, that I am this body, um, these are my belongings, they are mine, this is my house, this is my country, these are my children, these are my parents, I, me, mine, right? Um, we're under this conception that we're the center, where we are the Lord of all we see, and that these things belong to me. And it's a false conception of self. When we are not conscious, or yeah, definitely not Krishna conscious, but not conscious at all, this is the state that we're in. And it is, from a spiritual perspective, it's a horrible state to be in because that basically means we are in complete delusion. We are not in any way conscious of who we are. But then when we become awakened, we start to realize that the first step is realizing we are the soul and we are not this body, and that all the things that are attached to this body are temporary. They're not us. So the dilemma of the living entity is because he thinks that he is the body and that these are my belongings and I want to live forever, right? And I want to maintain this body and everyone I know because I want to enjoy these things, then this is darkness. This is this is complete illusion. Um, that's their dilemma. They live in this. Happiness is flickering. Distress um, rules their life ultimately because when um, the stress is the worst thing for the living entity because it reminds them that they are going to die or that this world is full of misery. And therefore, all of their thoughts that I want to keep what's mine, I want to continue to live and enjoy. Um, it's saddening to that living entity because they will not be able to continue this way, right? Not for long. Life is like a blink of an eye, right? Human life. But if one is fortunate after millions and billions of lives, if one is fortunate to meet a representative of the Lord, um, someone who has Krishna consciousness, they can, even within one conversation, meeting this person, sometimes even for a second, can become awakened and they can start to see that they are actually not the body, their soul, that I've lived many lifetimes. The body is just like a garment for the soul. And then the question, what do I do now that I realize I am the soul? What is the best activity that I can do once I realize this? Because my taste for material enjoyment is gone now, right? And I remember for me, it was like a gradual thing, right? Like I had this realization and but I still had this taste for material enjoyment, but it was going away. So then it's like, okay, well, this is all going away. Do I just like renounce everything? Like, what do I do? Um, but then if you cultivate that relationship with that devotee, they will show you how to perform devotional service, right? And then you will realize what to do with your time. Because that's really what that's everyone's dilemma when they wake up Monday morning. They have to work, or they have to, if they're children, they have to play or learn, right? Every living entity has something to do during the week. There's some schedule of events, right? But when one becomes Krishna conscious, it changes in a sense. Of course, it depends what phase of life you're in. Maybe you're working or whatnot, so you have to. Maybe you have a family to maintain. That's fine. But what consciousness are you going to go forward? That's really the question there. That one can replace his material consciousness with Krishna consciousness and do everything for Krishna. Remember Krishna while doing your work and your service throughout the day. That's what Prabhupada taught, to just add Krishna. We don't need to falsely renounce anything or to, change anything major. And especially in the beginning, he would always say, just add Krishna, just add Krishna. And or maybe you were like me, when I was a young man, I didn't have all those things, and I had a pretty, let's say I had an open schedule. And so I just, wanted to spend all my time with devotees. And so I lived in temples and ashrams. So, and that way I just performed mm, like menial service as a resident of a ashram. And yeah, and therefore all day you're just focused on cultivating that consciousness. So, yeah, but we all have different stages that we're in and whatnot. So, um, whatever stage you're in, whenever you come to Krishna consciousness, just add Krishna and see what is the best thing to do at that time based on your circumstances. Anyway, back to the philosophy. Um, Vasudev is not one of these ordinary souls. He is not under this Mahamaya. He is under this Yoga Maya. And his Maya is different than the living entities. His Maya is seemingly the same, right? When we read this, one could think, okay, like Vasudeva is claiming to be under the illusory Maya. But Vasudeva is literally a resident of the spiritual world who came to this material world to enact Krishna's pastimes. So he's not an ordinary person. We can never think that about these souls that are in his Leela. Any of them, even the bad guys. They're all very special because they get to be in Krishna's pastimes and they're in Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, how many people do you know personally that are in Srimad Bhagavatam? I don't know any that are living right now. So, uh, so it is very sacred thing. So Vasudev is under this Yoga Maya, which means he believes that he is Krishna's father, and Krishna and Balaram are his sons. And in Krishna's pastimes, there are different levels of this Yoga Maya. In Vraj, Yoga Maya is different than the rest of the world. Yogamaya and Vraj is very strong in the sense that they have basically no idea that Krishna is God. They are completely under the conception that Krishna is my son. My Krishna is this cowherd boy who is so charming and attractive, and that he performs amazing feats, but to us it's baffling how he's able to do these things. And then sometimes you will read in that section of the Bhagavatam, they'll think, well, maybe he is some great demigod, or maybe he's the supreme. And then they just go back to thinking, oh, but he like begs for my milk and he's dependent on me, so that's not possible. So in Vraj, Krishna's Yogamaya is so powerful that they just they just completely don't know. They just love him because he is Krishna. And he is that endearing personality that everyone wants to talk about, everyone wants to be near, right? He is he's their heart and soul. That's all they know. That's all they know. They love him, and he loves them. And that simple village life in which Krishna takes care of the cows and is naughty and plays jokes on people and whatnot. That they're just like enamored by him in love, and they can't even think of him other than that. That he is just like their heart and soul. But when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, um, oh, I should say that it's completely spiritual. Like there's no tinge of material, um, like ropes of affection, as they say here. Um, those those are completely spiritual attachments. So when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, it is devastating to them. And they spend every moment in love and separation from Krishna. And it tortures them in a spiritual way that is actually ecstatic. It's not material at all. It's completely ecstatic and completely transcendental. But when Krishna goes into the world, it is then a different kind of conception of Krishna. More people know or have an idea that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Pandavas are a great example. They knew they knew Krishna was the supreme personality of Godhead, but it's always a difficult thing because Krishna relates to them as a friend. So in the back of their minds, they're like, "Oh, he's the supreme soul. He's they know this." But when Krishna interacts with them, it's very friendly. There's casual conversations, there's jokes, there's you know, it's it's like it's like when you have it's that's why it's interesting how we have relationship with our spiritual master. We know spiritual master is the representative of God and whatnot, but sometimes our spiritual master may uh, just casually joke with us, and we get in this other kind of rasa that makes us forget the fact that, oh, well, I should worship this person. It's like um yeah, so uh yeah, so this is yeah, so Krishna in outside of Raj, it's it's more widely known that he is the supreme personality of Godhead, but when you're the material, quote unquote, maternal parents of Krishna, then it becomes a little different because you are relating them also with them as children who need to go to school and who have to learn lessons perhaps and whatnot. And so Vasudev, even though that Yoga Maya is spiritual, he's relating with Krishna in these prayers to Krishna from a perspective that he believes he's on this material attachment to Krishna, and he just wants to see Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Um, so so yeah, and this is a great example of how people relate with him as well. It's like he knows that Krishna is special. I mean, even how Krishna came into the world and whatnot, they knew he was going to be. the Supreme Lord, right? But still, because of how Krishna interacts with them and his phases of life, um, it's difficult to always see him as a supreme personality of Godhead because he might even you need to cook for him and take care of him and he's not manifesting in a way where he's like self-reliant and self-sufficient, you know? So, and the same thing happens with the Lord, every incarnation, Lord Chaitanya as well. Lord Chaitanya also, his parents also related with him in this way. Um, so yeah, Vasudev here is just praying to Krishna that he'll be able to remove this from him so he can uh, see the Lord purely as the Lord. Um, I'm gonna look at the verse now to see if there's any other points. Um, purport. Um, just yeah, yeah. And the purport is it's also talking about how um, although at the time of his birth in Kamsa's prison, Lord Krishna told Vasudeva and Devaki that his mission was to rid the earth of unwanted kshatriyas. Still, his two parents could not avoid thinking of him as their helpless son who needed protection from King Kamsa. And in reality, of course, Vasudeva and Devaki were participating in the divine pastime of the Lord's birth under the perfect direction of his internal energy. So it's important to know and reiterate that this is under his internal energy. This is all under the influence of that energy. The external energy, which is what we're all experiencing on a daily basis, for the most part, um, that's different. This internal energy is directed by the Lord. All these living entities that are in his pastime, they are all under the influence of this internal potency, not the external potency. And see, the spiritual world is just like that. It's all under the direction of his internal potency. When you come to the material world, then it's his external potency. It's the perverted reflection. So they're very similar in their function, right? That they direct the living entities or they influence the living entities to think, feel, see in these ways that Krishna has programmed, you could say, this energy to act, right? But in the material world, the function is a little different. The external energy, it puts us under these conceptions to uh, the function is to bind us to the material energy. And why is that? We are here to learn a lesson. We're here to learn many lessons. But ultimately, when we become exhausted by being influenced by this material energy, then we start to call out to Krishna or God wherever you are in your spiritual path, we call out and we're saying, enough is enough. I am tired of being battered around by this material energy. I remember praying this myself. I had gotten a glimpse of spiritual life, right? And I remember crying in a shower at a friend's house. I was living on their couch. And I remember crying and just praying, God, Jesus, anyone, like whoever you are, please direct me. I need a change in my life and I need change. And I want to pursue my spiritual path. It was the most important thing to me, but I still felt so confused about it. And I can tell you that just sincere, helpless prayer of mine kick-started, like totally amplified my journey to finding the answers. And Krishna directed the people that come to me, and directed my movements and my decision making to be where I am now and where I went the last, I guess it's been 14 years of my life. Um, and that's what the living entity has to come to. The entity has to come to this place of material exhaustion and realizing that they need help, that humility has to come to them, that I am not the Lord of everything I see. This conception of I, me, mine is not serving me anymore. I don't want to live this way. It's not satisfying to me. And I give myself to you, Lord, and I ask you to direct me. Help me make the right relationships, help me make the right decisions, guide my words, guide my voice, guide my decisions, bring me to where you would like me to go. And then the path opens. I have had that happen to me a few times in life, and even in my spiritual life. And Krishna is waiting to hear us say this prayer. He is waiting millions of lifetimes for us to say this prayer, millions of lifetimes. And he is ready to just snap his fingers, so to speak, and open the path for us. He's just waiting. And when he hears that prayer, he is so excited to be able to help us do this. And guarantee he will send you the people, he will inspire you to go certain places. Like I remember at one point in after that prayer, I could see the months after that, there was like no place I could go without seeing devotees or something. Even when I was like going to some music festival during that time, I was still really attached to that. But it was like devotees there, and I couldn't avoid them. It was like, and I remember being at that festival, and I was doing my hippie thing, and I remember I was watching like Robert Plant or something like that. And I just started chanting Hare Krishna out of nowhere. And I knew the mantra, but I started chanting in this Brahminical rhythm, like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And I was under the influence of some things at the time, but it just cut through all of that. And I just realized I didn't need any of that stuff anymore. And, I was feeling so ecstatic. It was like a full moon chanting that, and it was so beautiful. And I remember looking around me, and I was like with some friends, and I was like, man, like, I just feel like I'm in a different bubble right now after chanting the mantra. I felt like I literally had cut through the ether of that whole concert scene, and I was in a bubble of like spiritual bliss, and I felt like, why don't other people want to feel this? And so I feel like that led me very, very strongly to my next decisions in life. So I'll end here for some comments or questions. Thank you all for tuning in. I think Mike has his hand up. Hey, Mike. Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Good morning. Thank you for class. When it comes to anxiety in this material world, yeah, uh, obviously I find some shelter from Krishna and the Bhagavatam and devotees. And, I still have anxiety, but it's lessened because of all that, right? My spiritual practices. When it comes to people that have no spiritual practice that I see and then I meet and friends and other people that are totally awash in deep anxiety, right? That have like panic attacks, um, and that obviously haven't reached that point of wanting to be talked to about Krishna. Do I just let them suffer until they are completely at rock bottom? What's the answer for people that are still very connected to this material world, yet are suffering tremendously from it? Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Um, Prahlad Maharaj, maybe you know the story about Prahlad Maharaj. He actually was so self-realized and had Lord Nrsingadev's favor and could have, have anything he wanted. And he just was concerned with the living entities suffering in material nature. So it is the devotee's position and inner concern to feel compassion for others who are experiencing anxiety. And it's funny you're saying anxiety. It's like this world is, I believe, kunta. Kunta means anxiety, like uh, in relation to this world, and then Vaikunta means free from anxiety. So the planets in Kunta, like Earth, are full of anxiety, material anxiety, and then spiritual world is Vaikunta. So Prabhupada taught us that it is actually our duty to help others get free from anxiety and enter the world of Vaikunta. Um, so, um, I can't tell you how to share it with them, but I personally just like to share things I do and invite people the things I go to in the devotional spheres, and even just prasadam is very powerful. So there's a lot of ways you can share without, disturbing their minds, because those who are in a lot of anxiety are also very defensive about their pain. So finding some way to reach them in an empathic way is what I've seen, especially for friends, to be the best way to share Krishna consciousness with them. Um, and there's a lot of ways to do that, of course, but just finding a way how to reach them for, according to where they are, I think that's just like the greatest thing you could do for somebody. So I think that the way you're thinking right now it is very empathic and spiritually empathic, let's put it that way. And that this is definitely, as a spirit soul who is developing Krishna conscious, a very mature sign that we start to feel that for others and we want to help them. That's literally the greatest thing you can do for somebody. So yeah, you're thinking in the right way. If that's what you're looking for. All right, Krishna. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We all have that question, and we can see because of your sincerity, it's not an accident that those particular people have come into your life. And it's not an accident that they came into your presence in the time of their distress. And you have the exact proper attitude. Well, how do I do this? And Krishna's going to help you. Krishna's going to help you. Look at Arjuna. He was perplexed, dropping his bow, his skin was burning, his hair was, you know, everything was about him was discombobulated, he was unraveled, and he spoke his pain. He revealed his heart to Krishna, and Krishna just smiled. He listened, and then what Prabhupada says is the first step is listening, being concerned, and praying to Krishna that he'll show you what to say, and then we ask them, Prabhupada tells us, we ask them, are you willing? Are you interested? Will you allow me to tell you what I read? Will you tell you what Scripture says? Not that we're asking them to subscribe to it or follow it, but just are you willing to hear it? And if they are, that's the door. We can give them prasadam, we can listen very carefully to their tears and their pain. And this is a really super interesting class you just gave, Prabhu, about how you're in the shower and you got this breaking point of crying in the shower, right? Of just saying, oh, hold it, stop the music. What's going on? I want to know. This is not working. I got to turn the page. There must be something else, you know. And a Kinchana Gocharam, like you said, materially exhausted. So people will get that. The pain will drive them to be hungry, to hear the truth, to hear something that makes sense, to have hope. And just the fact that sometimes psychologists who listen to people on therapy, they have the highest suicide rate, right? Because they listen to all this, darkness and haunted, and depression and anger and frustration. And if they're not connected to Krishna, then they get pulled out of the boat. And Prabhupada said, catch a big fish, but don't get wet. So because you have
Mm.
wisdom, you'll be able to listen to them without becoming overwhelmed. And then at the right moment, Prabhupada said that 90% of Krishna, 10% of Krishna consciousness know what to say, and 90% is to know when to say it and how to say it. That's what we're grappling with. That we know something, and we can. So I love that paradigm shift that you were explaining. That at one point, I was in a movie one time, and it was a terrible movie. It was degrading, and it was just watching it was just ridiculous. And then I was sitting close to where the door goes. There's an exit door, big exit door that goes out to the fire escape. And they were workmen, and they opened the door. And I said, wait a minute. Wait, this is just a stupid movie. I'm leaving. I walk out. But the fact that there was you know, an understanding that this is for sitting here listening to this is just polluting and waste of time, and it's
Mm.
not going to do it anymore. So Krishna will call. He's calling all of us in the depth of our heart. There's a voice that's saying, "Come back, come back." The bird sitting in the tree, right, with this other bird that's just watching you going after the fruits, you know, and waiting for you to turn to him. So that will happen. What a wonderful question, and thank you very much for that class about coming to the end of your rope materially and just saying, hold it, no more. I'm sorry to talk so long. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Adi Purusha Prabhu. We have a few more minutes. Anyone else have a comment or question?
So
Krishna
much
Kumari.
loving, yeah, so much loving exchanges going on here. It's really sweet to witness. I'm really enjoying and just, yeah, opening hearts and sharing hearts. I really feel like this last text has got really important messages. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just really profound that actually Vasudev's telling Krishna and Balaram, you're both, the lords of material nature and its creator. You're the lord of Mahavishnu. I mean, this is like profound. Um, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's like the juice. And then, I mean, and then the second part, I mean, who doesn't want to rid the earth of her burdens? I mean, every day I'm hoping that people wake up, turn to Varnashram Dharma, start living a simpler life, get out of the nonsense of the fanfare of the drama and the silliness of politics, and just really like Adi Purush Prabhu walk out of the theater, and,
It's a good point.
and just really take to what Prabhupada wants us to do. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. The drama is supposed to distract us from the real purpose of life. That's the material world's broadcasting. You know, the inner, we want to tune into the inner channels, right? That's the channels we want to turn into. We want to turn into Krishna's channel. It's much more exciting, much more enlivening, much more relieving, and full of eternality and hope and beauty. That's why when we look into the material world and the happenings in the material world, we're always going to be disappointed. And even if we are excited about something, we're going to be disappointed soon. So it's, you know, we we're only going to be satisfied. Krishna says this, Prabhupada says this, everyone says this. We're only going to be satisfied with our connection with Krishna being re-enlivened, reinstated, and nourished, and our relationships with devotees on a spiritual level being deepened. Like we're only going to be happy with that. It's very simple. And then I know you're talking about our relationship with Mother Earth. And that's something that I'm very interested in is like permaculture and regenerative um, agriculture and whatnot, and living simple and you know, Varnashram is a very large topic. You know, devotees have been taxing their brains for decades now, trying to figure out what that looks like in this modern age. But like for me, I just want to see how I can do it in my little sphere. And because I know that it's a better way to live and a natural way to live. And whoever wants to participate in that more consciously, I think that we're all going to be subject to the varnas and ashrams in some way. Prabhupada says it's natural as
What
well.
will your Varna be? Brajananda Prabhu. Will you be a
My
Brahmana?
varna,
Yeah, Kshatriya.
I'm a little of both, I think. Um,
Irmila's giving class
yeah.
tomorrow. Irmila's
If you need
I've
Shudras,
had a
let me
lot of
know.
conversations with Mother Irmila about this too. Um, yeah, her and I are good friends, and I'm in real estate right now, and she did not think that that was my Varna, and I'm like, she was like, I think that there's a sales conception to it, but I was like, well, I don't see it that way. I was trying to explain to her. Probably could have had a longer conversation about it, but at the time I was really new and I didn't have my realizations. But I feel like I do my I do my job from more of a Kshatriya and Brahmana point of view because there's a lot of emphasis on education and community creation. And those are, you know, creating communities and helping people acquire land and whatnot, and owning land yourself are more kshatriya qualities. So, and I think it's like, yeah, very much like where your intention is and what you do. Anyway, that was a side note there. But yeah, I think it's important to understand how to Krishnaize your propensities.
Mm.
And I think that's more or less first step of Varnashram. And yeah, like obviously Mother Irmela will have a much more in-depth version of that, and we don't have any time anymore. So tune into Mother Irmela's class. I don't even know where that is or anything about it, but sure you can find out. All right.
Thank you, Brajananda
All glories to the
Prabhu.
Prabhupada, all glories to the devotees.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Darshan time, turn on your cameras, please. Our Dharma is to be seen by the Lord every day. Put on your best look. Bring your friends.
I can't find the darshan video.
Ram came here for the darshan and there's no darshan. Ram. It's
The
a
darshan of the devotees.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's look at devotees. Look.
Thank you.
We
Thank
also
you.
need darshan of the devotees.
True.
Okay.
She's setting up the darshan.
Okay, there was Akashvani, a brief Akashvani from Adi. Yeah, Adi and technology. Yeah. Oh, it's coming, it's coming. See, there's a kitty cat. Sammy has a kitty cat, look. My wife says, stop faking that you're a good father. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let me show you our own deities. Hold on. Hold on. This is Giriraj. This is Bala Ram, Subhadra Devi, Jagannath, Baby Jagannath, Srila Prabhupada. Maya, okay. Hare Krishna, welcome to the Afterglow. Brajananda Prabhu, you have a few minutes for the
Yeah.
Afterglow? Yeah?
I have a few minutes, yeah.
Yeah, dear devotees, please make a comment, ask a question, open mic, share a reflection. Maybe there was something that stuck out to you in class. Feel free to share. Mathuranath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I was laughing at your comment about your wife saying you're a good, acting like you're a good father. I appreciate your authenticity and your comic authenticity. We need more of that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
So with Varnashram, I was just, we've gotten very conditioned. I got very fired up about Varnashram. I'm still but researched it for many years. And what I see is we're all so conditioned to living independently. And also the government wants us to live independently because they make much more money that way. If we live in villages and communities and trade and stuff, they don't get all their money from taxes. That's a side note. But we're also very conditioned to do this. So how do we get out of that conditioning and maybe even beyond the government's influence and to really live in community with each other and supportive relationships like this?
Yeah, I think recently I I live in Alachua, so we have all the opinions here of different things. But I like to align myself with certain personalities, and often spend time with Mahatma Prabhu. And one of his godbrothers that I'm friends with came up to him when I was talking with him last time. I was talking about Varnashram, and his more or less his reply was like, "Okay, um, we know what to do. Okay, do it. Let's do it. Someone needs to do it. We've been talking about it for decades. Do it. Do it in your own life." Like basically. So I think it's important that we see whatever our situation is, to start doing Varnashram. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that that means like being a farmer or something like that. Not necessarily. I think it means it's more of a communal thing, and it's more of a way of life and consciousness. So say we did want to do more of a communal thing, people can start their own communities, developments, HOA even. So that's one way to have a small governance. Um, I don't think there's a way to completely uh, unlock ourselves from the way things go, according to the governance in America, or anywhere really. But I think there's ways to live within the system in our own way. And the way I've envisioned it is like, yeah, creating your own HOA, which is like a development, and buying land and subdividing and having a homeowners association that is Krishna conscious. And yeah, basically you develop the community that way. You can sell plots of land. You can help each other build houses if you want. There's so many ways you could do that. And just, yeah, helping people come together in an intentional lifestyle. I think that's a great way to do things in this modern world. Um, I think there's numerous ways, but that's just one way I've thought of. I think that getting creative is important, spiritually creative when it comes to this. And I think, but I believe the intention is very important because that's a lot of Varna ashram is realizing our Varna and ashram in a very Krishna conscious way and doing our work, whatever that may be, in a very Krishna conscious way. And I think that's like the beginning of it. And then it's like forming a community around with other people who are wanting to get intentional and do the same thing. And yeah, that I've thought about it, and I feel like in a practical way, that's the way to do it. And yeah, if people want to farm, great. Like you can have a person like that. If people want to continue to be an attorney or in sales or um, whatever it is they do, they can continue to do that as well in a Christian conscious way, but they contribute to the community as well. And there's something in the business world, because I'm very much in business. It's like a millionaire business club or something like the MBC, or I forget what it's called, but I'm not part of one, obviously, but I have friends that are, and one of their agreements is that they will only use and refer each other within that group. So say there's like someone who's an attorney, someone who's lawn care, someone who's got a like a consultation business or whatever, like all those people are part of this community, but they all agree that they will just do business with each other as much as possible and refer others to do
Mm.
business. So that's something that we could do in like an intentional community like that with a lot of obviously we're all very diverse, but like bring a diverse, try to bring diverse individuals in there and like economically support each other. And then maybe there's a way to establish your own trade within that community. And but I think it's gonna be very difficult to just like completely like disconnect ourselves. I feel like that's what people think we have to do, but I don't think a lot of people are, most people in this day and age are willing to do that. So um, I think some hybrid situation is a good way to start and then see where it goes. But yeah, like I said, the intention and just getting like taking initiative. Like if you're someone that feels really passionate about that, yeah, learn about land development, learn about uh subdivision development and create your own subdivision HOA that's built around your principles. You know, I every HOA in this area have totally different, similar but totally different rules, like so you just like create bylaws and rules and regulations that support the spiritual community and you could even have membership like it have pe people that come in there have to be agreed upon to join the community and whatnot. And that way you're keeping it pure, like keeping the intentions pure. Those are some
Thank you.
thoughts.
I appreciate many of your points. I also live in Alachua, and I'm a disciple of Mahatma Prabhu. So
Oh, really? I'm surprised we haven't met yet.
yeah, surprised we
But
haven't met.
true.
And
No, figure. Oh, well,
yeah,
let's try to connect.
yeah, let's connect. I
It's
appreciate your
fun.
point too of like
Let's
really
create a community.
coming. Yes, create a community. I appreciate your point of really coming from where we're at too in our conditioning and society, because I was also very much trying to think, okay, how do we just many years back, how do we just get on the land and farm? And so many of us are not there, but I appreciate coming from where we're at. And, I really love Krishna consciousness and personal development. I'm a transformational coach. Also starting to get into couples coaching and supporting couples like that because I've been through a lot with couples things.
Mm.
So yeah, really using our skills with each other. I love that within the community and supporting each other, and having that kind of interdependence. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can connect sometime.
I love that.
You want to you have a link to send me? I can just connect with you online or something like that, and we can start there.
And if you gentlemen, if you need a good small governor, you can contact Bhima Prabhu. He'll make a good small governor. He's got horses so that the Kshatriya aspect is covered.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we need horses.
The question is where is Bhima Prabhu today?
Bhima
Is he
Prabhu.
I see his name,
He's
but
in Yoga Maya, probably.
I usually hear from him every time
Yeah.
amongst him taking care of his farm.
Yeah,
Mm.
he's taking care of his herd. Yeah.
Sometimes it's snowy, sometimes it's green.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got plenty of service to do.
You want to have that?
I just sent my phone number in the chat. You can
Okay, awesome.
so
I'll text you. Well, this is what Bhakti Center is all about, right?
Yeah.
It's sadhu sangha.
Yes. Yes. Adipusha Prabhu is unmuted.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
One time, hold on, Adipusha Prabhu. I'm sorry for interrupting you. One time, Adipusha Prabhu told me, when they start a nuclear war, we'll pick up our van and drive to New Vrindavan. We'll install solar panels everywhere and we'll be fine. That instruction really stuck out. That's my plan B in case something happens. I'm going to Nirvindavan with Adi Purusha Prabhu.
Call cannot be placed. Please check the phone.
What's
Most
going on?
recent outgoing call was 0788.
What is that? Okay, Adi Purusha Prabhu, go ahead. Go ahead, please. This is Srila Prabhupada's tree right there.
Oh,
Hare
Jai.
Krishna. So, one of the most important things you said was intention. Krishna, there's order in the universe. Krishna's within and between every atom. He's in everyone's life. And when we say, Krishna, I want to serve you, then he'll show us how we can contribute. We can think about it, we can speculate about it, or we can say, Lord, where do you want me? How do you want me to do this? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's remember that Krishna's guidance is available. Guru's guidance is available. By my own vision, by my teeny brain, I can't see the big picture. But Krishna is concerned and able to show us how we can push on Lord Chaitanya's movement. It's happening in so many different ways. But let's remember that we're taking shelter of Krishna, we're trying to please Krishna, and Guru is available.
Well,
Um,
what if Krishna
Arjuna,
tells you?
just a second, please. Thank you very much. Arjuna had some ideas, and then Krishna said, what you're talking about is you're speaking wise words, but wisdom's heart you've impugned. You've not really understood this correctly. You're not seeing things appropriately. Okay, what is your question?
What if Krishna tells me to wear a suit and tie and go to the cubicle every day, and I wanted to be a farmer? How does that fall within the Varnashram concept?
The Bhagavad Gita, I can only tell you what scripture says. Do you want to hear what scripture says?
Yes.
No, you just put a gun to your head and shoot yourself. Get it over with, and then get born where you're supposed to be in your next life.
You want to
That's
hear
what
what
you do.
scripture says? You want to hear what Bhima says?
I want
I'm just
both.
asking.
Bhima
Okay,
is
you already
fine.
heard Bhima.
Okay.
So Krishna says that everyone's born into delusion based on desire and hate. I want to do this. I like to do that. What I want, what I feel, good. You can go like that if you like, but that is complete madness. It's based on the mind. I like this. I don't like that. This is easy. This is difficult. But Krishna says, abandon all desire for gain and safety and fight for me. Arjuna was thinking, maybe I could serve you by going into the forest and giving up this battlefield. Krishna said, no. So if we put it before the Lord and say, Lord, thy will be done. Think of Gethsemane. Jesus knew he was going to be crucified. And he prayed the night before, this is a bitter cup, Lord. But if thy will be done, if that's what you want, that's what I'll do. Now that's Krishna conscious. The
Can
other
I
thing,
speak
I
now?
think I'll serve Krishna like this. I like this. I want that. I
There's
think
an in
this.
between,
No, there's
Adi.
no in
There's an in
between.
between.
There's
There
reality
is
and
an in.
there's
No,
craziness.
there's an in between. No father would force his son to do something against his son's
Krishna
wishes.
doesn't force us.
In
That's right. You're right. Krishna doesn't force us.
Okay. So
We have the
similarly,
choice.
the whole question, the caveat here,
You
Prabhu,
think
the
Jesus made a
caveat,
mistake?
Prabhu, the caveat here is who's telling you to go work in a cubicle? You know, your needs and wants, your desires to have to pay bills that you've accumulated because you weren't paying attention and didn't bother living a simple life, or the fact that in order to work in a cubicle, you are working to support the movement. So the question is, or put forth the movement. A lot of us are direct preachers, and some of us, like myself, are way behind the lines and trying to push from the back. So yeah, you do have to maintain your day job. You do have to maintain your family and stuff like that. But you should never hesitate to take the risk of doing what Prabhupada has asked us to do, which is scripture, which is to live simply. Okay. and of course, think high. What's the saying, Adi?
Simple living, high thinking.
Yes, simple living, high thinking. So simple living's huge. The simple life isn't so simple. You have to develop skills. I had no skills to do the things that I'm doing now, and I still have 90% of the skills left to learn to do them. But ultimately, into the future, as Krishna conscious people, we will have to, by virtue of survival, and not just talking political or anything, just in general, we will have to learn the things that are necessary to be self-sufficient, or at least sufficient within the village or community of devotees, bartering, etc. This is coming right around the corner. Otherwise, we will have to serve mammon. We'll have to serve the government. We'll have to serve the corporations. The question is who do you want to serve? The cubicle isn't a killer if you're using that cubicle to study scripture, but the cubicle is a killer if you're using it to, to serve, you know, um, Kali Yuga. So it is imperative that one can make a sweeping brush stroke by saying, um, you know, uh, you have to be miserable to serve Krishna, or you got to do what you got to do, but that Krishna wants us to be joyful, just like a father, a good father wants their children to be joyful. And if the child has a proclivity to do something, but he doesn't have the means by which to do it, then if the child comes and asks the father, as we should ask Krishna, I have this current job. It's in a cubicle. It's killing me. My soul is dying. I'm spending 12 hours a day away from my family. I'm spending, when I go to the temple, I feel empty inside because the majority of my time is spent doing mechanical, rote work, etc., etc. This is a time and circumstance where Krishna is actually whispering in your ear to take that risk, to take the risk to move on and move out and to represent him from another point of view. We should not fear taking risk for Krishna. That's what I got to say. Haribol.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, these aren't cheap things. Krishna will make you want it badly. Krishna will make you prove your desire to serve him. Sincerely. Adipusha Prabhu, go ahead. Thank you, Brajananda Prabhu. Thank you very much. Thank you. Adipusha Prabhu, are you done? Glorifying Krishna?
Yeah, Krishna will show us.
Yeah.
But sometimes he'll ask us to do something that will be difficult. There's a Kurukshetra moment. Without that, I was just listening to Prabhupada's class, and he was saying, sometimes people, and he said in India, they'll have a family guru, they'll have a formality. He used the word formality. But he said that sometimes what people are doing, and even in the name of religion, is based on their own happiness rather than devotional service to Krishna. So there's devotional service to Krishna, and then there's even quasi pseudo religious activities that are basically selfish. But wherever we are, we can always say, Lord, how can I serve you? And Krishna will show us.
Thank you. Krishna is perfectly capable of showing us how to serve him
If
according
we
to our
ask.
situation. Yeah.
If we
If
ask.
we are prepared. Yep. Yeah, if there's always comfort zone everywhere, what's the point? Where's excitement? Where's Kurukshetra moment?
Me,
Okay,
me, me,
Karen.
me, me, me,
Yeah.
me, me, me. I like this. I want that. I
Yeah.
think this.
Boring. Karen, please go ahead.
We've got to go.
Hare Krishna. I I just raised my hand when you're talking about the cubicle and versus the farming thing, and I was just wondering, like, what if you felt that you answered like a calling, you had a calling in your for your soul's purpose and your life's purpose, and then you are um it's like your life situation somehow prevents you from uh from doing that. Like, I'm from my personal experience, I'm an acupuncturist, and that was just a calling. That was something that sort of I was drawn to. It happened. It was like, and I can't really manage to make that happen right now in my current situation. And I don't really know what else to do with my life. Other than, I mean, I'm obviously mothering and everything like that. And I get that that's a very wonderful service, but I feel like I am not able to fulfill my soul's purpose, you know? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Karen. You're very sincere. Krishna will guide you. Just keep doing what you're doing, and Krishna will guide you. Maybe Krishna will speak to you through Isaiah. Maybe he'll say something profound. Karen, be the person you've always wanted to be. Go for it. Who knows? Thank you so much, dear devotees. Okay, Mathuranath Prabhu, you'll be the finisher today. Say something profound. Please
The
summarize the
finisher, the
discussion.
finishing touch.
Yeah.
Just on what you and Winati were talking about, how Krishna will show us something I'm focusing a lot on is, Krishna, help me to depend on you. Just help. I need to, we need to be dependent on Krishna to depend. So it's taking that real humble state. I'm so lost in this material world. I need your help just to become dependent on you. And this I think attracts Krishna's attention, when we don't think, oh, I'm qualified. I've got this. I'm in a place where I really know Krishna, can depend on Krishna. We've been swimming in this material world for so long. We really, when we take that humble position, Krishna, I need you so bad. Please help me.
That was perfect, Mathuranath Prabhu. Thank you. Let's all call out to the Lord sincerely, and he'll answer for sure. Hare Krishna,
Jai.
dear devotees, have a wonderful week. Come again tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam never ends. It has all the answers. And we are hearing together, and we're cultivating the proper state of mind, and all the answers will be given.